So hello from Green-Mopeds, happy Easter. Today I'm taking out a bike that we've been asked to test from a company called Benzina Zero, which is out of Australia. This is called their Duo Plus. Anyone who wants to go looking for this bike on the internet, you might want to go and look up a company called Aidea Tech. It's called the U1, out of China. Interestingly, Aidea are pretty big. Their market cap is $4 billion, which puts them just a little bit behind Aidea. And if you want a comparison, 2.7kw is 60 times smaller than Aidea Tech, and NIU is 30 times smaller. So it's a huge, well, relatively huge company. Obviously people know 2.7kw and NIU, especially in the UK, but probably haven't heard of Aidea Tech. But you'll find them on Made in China and Alibaba and all that sort of stuff, but they are a company obviously in their own right. They do stuff like this. They do electric scooters, stand-on scooters, bicycles, etc., etc. But yeah, pretty big compared to the others that you might know. So Benzina, Australian, but with a European entity in Italy. So these bikes are coming via Italy into the UK. They call this bike a hyper utility electric moped, which I guess if you're into your hyperbole, that's fine. But it's made for delivery. It does have pegs for a passenger, but that isn't how this bike's going to be sold here. It's aimed at fairly and squarely at the delivery market. There are actually two duos. There is the standard duo, which is 1200 watt, 2.2 kilowatt max, 28 mile an hour L1E. And there is the Duo Plus, which is this one, which is 2.7 kilowatts max, so 1500 kilowatt base, and it does about 40. Both of them have the same battery, which is under the floor there. One battery, 60 volt, 43 amp hour. Its design is a bit like Cake was. Sort of tubular. You could almost say it looks like a U-shaped scaffolding pole with wheels on it and a motor. So it's minimalist. It's meant to be, you know, it's not meant to necessarily be a consumer purchase bike. It's meant for utilitarian sort of delivery type stuff. Okay, so when we do the sort of side static review, you'll see what I'm talking about. It is literally U-shaped, the frame, and then they've hung bits off of it. Okay, so don't expect sort of a fancy design. It's got a front carrying holder, so to take more things, and that can have on it in its own right a 53 litre basket. 53 litre is pretty big. That's almost as big as the largest Shad top box at 58 litres. So it's 58 is, you know, quick big, but it's also open. It's just a basket. So you know, you're not going to necessarily store something if you want to keep it dry unless you've got something to store it in. But 53 litres on the front. And then on the back you've got a platform which you can pretty much do whatever you like with, up to a weight limit. So the total weight limit on this is 192 kilos. So if you think about that, the bike weighs 87 with the battery, let's say I weigh 87, which is almost true. That's 160. So you're looking at maybe a 30 kilo load on the back. This one's actually got a deli box on it, which is a hot or cold, or hot and cold, heated or refrigerated box, which is used for, well, hot food delivery, I guess, cold food, and other things that might require temperature control. So yeah, it's just an example of, and you'll see that on a static review. The sort of fallout of having such a box so close to you, because the seat is, if you think of a traditional bicycle seat, that is pretty much your seat. Okay, there's no length to it at all. It is literally like being on a traditional bicycle seat. Okay, so be aware of that. So no ability to move backwards or forwards. This is the seat, and this is where you're sitting, and consequently you're leaning right up against the box. So you're quite upright, which I guess in some respects is a good thing. But it does, you know, you are literally pushing back on this on the back of the box. Okay, so I guess you'll get used to it, but it is an upright position. Okay, so back to the battery. 6043. So that is about 2.5 kilowatt hours. And as I said, this one, nice. This one is 2.7 kilowatt power, maximum power, and 40 miles an hour. So the difference between this and something like a 2.7kw CUX Pro, which is just about to come out, is minimal. A CUX Pro is pretty small. I mean, this is pretty small. It's only 1.7 meters long. You know, if you go for a CPX for delivery or something like that, you're talking about nearly 2 meters. So it is pretty small, and that's, you know, the fact that your seat, your little bicycle seat, stops where the back rack starts. So there's no extra length to the bike there. But you've got a CUX Pro, which is just about to come out, is 2.7 kilowatts. It's 6043 as well, but it's limited to 28. The reason I'm talking about that is for something that I'll tell you about a bit later. If you compare it to sort of like the de facto standard for delivery in this country, which is the 2.7kw CPX, that has 6045 amp hour batteries. Okay, so a little bit more, but it has 2 of them, or can have 2 of them on board, and you can, you know, just consume them both. And the reason to sort of bring all this battery stuff up is its quoted range is 90 kilometers. Now, if you just compare those 2 other bikes, both have to be 2.7kw, but you know, other brands are available, you wouldn't expect to get 90 kilometers out of either of those 2. You might get 90 miles out of a CPX if you're careful, but you certainly wouldn't get 60 miles out of a single battery, and you wouldn't expect to get 60 miles out of a CUX Pro. So, as is always the case, you have to be a little bit, you have to take the ranges that people quote with a little bit of a pinch of salt. Okay, it might well do 60 miles. It's just the maths and my experience doesn't suggest that's what's going to happen. Okay, so then we're talking about batteries. It also brings up another point, that the market for this bike. So the market in the UK for delivery has sort of had a bit of a shake-up, and all the people who are buying bikes, the Getirs of the world, GoPuff, all those sorts of people, the ones with the, well, Getir are a return to base delivery company. You go out, you drop off stuff, you might drop off a couple of things in one trip, but you're going back to base, which gives you the opportunity to swap batteries. Then you've got the floating riders. So the Deliveroo guys, the Uber guys and all that, they have to go out and they have to survive for as long as possible on whatever batteries they can take. Okay, so I would suggest that this bike is not aimed at those people. Those people need to be out on the road for as long as possible, and if they want to do 80 miles, they might get it, or should get it, out of a CPX. And even now, I know people who are, Uber riders, delivery riders, who are saying that they are resorting to petrol just because they want to stay out longer than a dual battery electric bike will do. Okay, so as I said, I think this bike, if anything, is going to be aimed at the return to base guys. So GoPuff, Getir maybe if they look at buying other bikes, that sort of thing, or smaller delivery companies, not the ones that are the size of Getir and all that. The other sort of market, of course, is pizza delivery. So Domino's in Australia have pretty much chosen this bike as their standard bike. And they have done extensive comparisons between what they looked at, which did include bikes that and this one, and they chose this one. Mainly because of its ruggedness, or its ability to be ruggedness. So that might be something that, if you're looking for a delivery bike, you might say, well, part of the challenge I have with my delivery riders is actually keeping the bikes on the road. So I don't care what it looks like. I can deal with the back to base stuff because that's my model, and this might be a perfectly adequate solution for you. Okay, so something to bear in mind there. The battery, while we're stationary, the battery's under the floor there. It's locked in down there. You lift up, you unlock it with a key, so you can't just pilfer it, and then you lift it out, you charge it. It's a 7-hour charge from flat. Around the dash, you've got normal sort of stuff. It's got cruise control. It's got 2 modes, and what will probably become apparent is you won't use mode 1. In most bikes like this, you don't use mode 1. Gets up to 40, as you can see, quite easily. It's got a USB port for your sat-nav and all that sort of stuff. Front and rear disc brakes with CBS on this one. Combined braking on the 125 license bike, and non-CBS as in standard on the 28 mile an hour Duo. Okay. If colours are a concern, it's red, white and blue, and this sort of yellow, yellow line yellow. And the 28 mile an hour one certainly won't be on the grant, because the grant is ending on Tuesday for L1 e-bikes. So the £150 rebate that the government were giving out has now been is ending on Tuesday, the 1st of April. They might put this one through to the grant for the 125cc equivalent rebate of £500, but bearing in mind that's probably going to go, I would say, next year. It'll probably go. Might not be worth it. So, as you can see, around the dash here, you've got your state of charge, which is your consuming power and speed, odometer and trip. So, back to why was I mentioning the CUX Pro. It sort of comes down to this. This bike, RRP, excluding VAT, 3795. So plus VAT, you're talking about another £700. So 4495, and it's a L3E 1 battery. 4495. A Super Socko CPX with 2 batteries, currently 2 batteries, so 2 batteries of the same, well, a little bit greater capacity than this bike, is 3,299. So you're talking about £1,500 less. The CPX will go back up. There's no denying it, and there's a CPX Pro coming soon. But 4,495, that puts you into the sort of same price bracket as a dual battery NQI GT S Pro, again with 2 batteries of the same capacity as this, 50 mile an hour, 4.6 kilowatts compared to 2.7 kilowatts. So there is a question about the price, I have to say, cannot deny that. But if it survives on the road longer or better, then that might justify it. But there is a price tag, that's for sure. Okay, so I think I covered everything. 2.7 kilowatts, 60, 42 amp hour, 43 amp hour battery, 7-hour charging time, quoted range of 60. I'm more likely to believe 45, 40, 45, something like that. 4 colours, not on the grant. 192 kilos total all-up capacity. If you have any questions about it, then please feel free to contact us at hello@green-mopeds.com. Please feel free to also contact us if you'd like to organise a test ride of this bike, because we will be able to do that. And thanks very much.